I was an undergrad, one of the most important things I did was gain work experience. And at the time that I was an undergrad, we didn't really have fancy things like internships, or at least I didn't know about that if we did. But a lot of people worked, and I wanted to get some money, so I wanted to get a job, and so I got a job as a bank teller. And it was a really great experience. I learned some bank teller skills that, that were very sort of rote in a sense and very set. There, you had to learn these specific technical things to be a bank teller. But it helped me understand that work oftentimes involves set specific skills. It also involves bigger skills. Being a bank teller is usually not as much about thinking as just doing the specific things. But it gave me exposure to a workplace, and it gave me exposure to a bigger industry, the banking industry, where I could kind of observe people above me and see what they did. But it also relieved a lot of my anxiety as an undergrad. Because when I was at Stanford, I thought, oh my God, all these people are way smarter than me. Who knows if I'll ever get a job when I get out. But at least I can be a bank teller. I'm a good bank teller, and it pays the bills, right? Seriously, it was something that I thought, I can fall back on this if I don't have something else. And in that sense, it was really valuable. Because you'll see I fell back on it a number of times after I got out to couldn't figure out what I was doing and was moving from one thing to the next. So even after I graduated, I did study abroad. That was the thing that really threw me for a loop and made me realize I didn't know if I wanted to go into business. I didn't know why the hell I'd done an econ major when I hated econ. And then I decided I didn't want to go to Wall Street like all the other econ majors. What I wanted to do was go learn about another culture. And that's what I actually did after undergrad. A friend of mine and I got work permits. We moved to London in October after we graduated. The summer before I graduated, I went home and worked as a bank teller to make some money to go overseas. And I went to London mainly because I wanted to live there. We got on the plane, we flew over, we had no jobs, no place to live, we just did it. And it was the best experience I ever did. It was completely not practical, but it got me out of my comfort zone and it made me learn a lot about myself, which was great. I was in London for 2 years and did different things. But then they kicked me out of the country, basically. They said you can't stay anymore because you aren't skilled enough. You have no special skills apart from everyone else in this country, so you have to go back to the US. That's when I applied to law school and got in and came back and thought, I don't know if I want to go to law school, so I deferred for a year. I worked at a bank again. And this time, because I had such great bank teller skills, they put me into new accounts management. So I got to sit at a desk out in the lobby and do new accounts. And I was so good at that they asked me to join the management training program for Bank of America. I said no, because by that point I knew I didn't want to go into banking. And that was a time when this is like 3 or 4 years after I graduated, and I was really at a loss for what should I do. I don't know. I know I'm a good bank teller, but I don't want to be a bank teller. I knew I could do sort of some general things. I knew I was really good at logic and analytical reasoning because I got into law school, but I didn't want to do law. So I finally thought I need help. So I went back up to Stanford, and there was a really great career counselor there. And she had me do the stories exercise thing that I'm having you do for this memo for next week. So I'll explain that a bit more at the end, but it was pivotal to me in helping me figure out what am I really good at that I really like doing. And by taking time to reflect on that and think about myself and my skills and what I like doing, I was able to map it into work I'd never thought about. And that's when I went back to do all these higher level degrees, because I knew I wanted to teach college. But along the way, even then I went back and was a bank teller. All of this is to say, any job you get is not wasted. You'll learn something, you'll gain some skills, you may be able to use it again later. There's no way to understand work unless you go to work. You're not going to understand the workplace and what you want to do until you get out there and start doing it. You can think about it all you want as an undergrad, but one of the best things I can tell you to do is go get some work experience and start thinking about it and thinking about, what it's like.